Hello and welcome back to our virtual candidate forum. We are here at the Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce and we're excited tonight to hear from our Stark County Commission, our mayor candidates, as well as our gubernatorial candidates. So we have a lot in store. My name is Christina Jorgensen and I'm the executive director here at the Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce. You don't see them, but behind the scenes, I have two people helping me out tonight. We have Megan Klassen, who's our marketing communications director at the Chamber, as well as Event and Member Relations Manager, Austin Bepley. So you don't see him on the screen, but I promise you we're all here and we're excited to be back for another virtual candidate forum. I also want to go ahead and extend a thank you from our Government Relations Committee to Western Cooperative Credit Union, who is sponsoring this night's event. We also want to say thank you to Consolidated Channel 18 for streaming this on their broadcast tonight and hopefully again at a later date, as well as the City of Dickinson, who will record and share a recording of this event on their website for all you to see. Before we go any farther, I have one more note I want to make here, is that we provide this candidate forum as a public service, that we are privileged and proud to play a role in the democratic process. The Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce is nonpartisan and does not endorse or contribute funds to any candidate for elected office. And now, as we're really ready to kick things off, I want to introduce our moderator this evening. We have Kayla Henson with the Dickinson Press. So welcome, Kayla. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. I'm Kayla Henson, senior reporter with the Dickinson Press and moderator for tonight's forum. Tonight, we welcome candidates for the Stark County Commission, Mayor of Dickinson, and Governor of the state of North Dakota. Should be an exciting night, Christina.
I'm sure excited for it as well. And with that, let's go ahead and start things off with Stark County Commission. Invite them on the screen.
Awesome. Welcome, candidates. Okay, welcome, candidates. The forum today will proceed as follows. Beginning with the County Commission candidates, each candidate will begin with a 2-minute opening statement before moving into a question and answer segment. The County Commission portion of the forum will conclude with each candidate providing a final 2-minute closing statement. The order we'll begin with this evening was randomly selected prior to the forum and has been agreed upon by all candidates. A reminder to the candidates, if you see a yellow card, that means you have 30 seconds remaining. A red card means that your time has expired. With that, we will begin this evening's opening statements with candidate Bernie Marsh.
Muted. I am muted. Pressed. Okay. Hello. And I am not muted anymore. I would like to start out by thanking the Chamber for organizing the forum and Kayla Henson for being moderator for us and all the Stark County viewers that we have out there. My name is Bernie Marsh and I'm a lifelong resident of Stark County. I grew up on a little dairy farm 10 miles northwest of Dickinson. I graduated from Southard High School in 1972. And from there I went to Dickinson State College, where I graduated with an associate degree in radio broadcasting. After a short stint at KDIX, I returned to farm with my father. In 1978, I married Paulette, my high school sweetheart, and we had 8 children, and now we have 13 grandchildren. 7 of the children and 10 of the grandbabies still live in Dickinson. In 1987, we purchased the Esquire Club in downtown Dickinson. In 1990, we started Lady Luck Vending. This was a coin-op venture that we also ran for 15 years. During this time, I got very involved with the National Dart Association, and I was involved with the rules and tournament committees. And then I became president in 2003. And in 2012, I was inducted into the NDA Hall of Fame. I was fortunate enough to have been able to referee 6 times in Europe and 5 times in China. And even though we sold Lady Luck in 2005, I still sat on the tournament committee. If anyone is interested in that part of my life, there's a very interesting interview that the NDA did for me. It's on the National Dart Association Facebook page. All right, and some of the other organizations whose boards I have sat on include the North Dakota Hospitality Association since 1988, 10 years with the Stark County Fair Board, which we constructed the fairgrounds, 10 years with the Dickinson and Convention Visitors Bureau, 4 years with the Downtown Dickinson Association. Now I am on the board of the newly formed North Dakota Council for Charitable Gaming. I'm running for Stark County Commissioner because I have a very unique background, and I believe that I can make a difference in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Perfect timing. We now move to the opening remarks for candidate Neil Messer.
Good evening, everybody. I would first start by echoing the comments of Bernie and thanking the Chamber for sponsoring this event, and thank Kayla for moderating it. And also thank everyone who has taken time out of their schedule to watch this event live. My name is Neil Messer, and I'm running for Stark County Commissioner because I am passionate about the area we live. I want Stark County to be a great place to live, work, raise our families, and run our farms and businesses. I'm a lifelong resident of Stark County, born and raised on a farm south of Richardson, educated and graduated from Richardson High School and Dickinson State University. My wife Bonnie and I have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. I started my real estate career in 1979 and has since been active in all phases of real estate, specializing in real estate sales, property management, and residential construction. I'm excited for the opportunity to go to work for you. I view the role as a county commissioner as being the caretaker of all public policy issues. As we look forward, there are going to be a number of challenges on the horizon that will have to be dealt with, and I feel with my business experiences, leadership philosophy, best match those of the residents of Stark County. I look forward to sharing my thoughts and views with you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. Commissioner Pete Koontz, we will now hear your opening remarks.
My name is Pete Koontz, and I'm a lifetime resident of Stark County. I was born and raised on a farm southeast of Dickinson. Went to school at Sheffield. Graduated from Sheffield, worked on the family farm. Was inducted into the United States Army in '59. Honorable discharge. I have 3 children, 4 grandchildren. And after service, came back, worked on the family farm for 2 years, then went to work for Stark County Road Department. I've been there for 35 years. 25 years of them was road foreman. Now I've been the county commissioner for 12 years. And I think I'm a good fit for Stark County. I got the experience about any county issues that can come up. We can handle them. That's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Koontz. We now close our opening statements with candidate Leslie Ross.
Hello, everyone. My name's Leslie Ross. And again, as with the other candidates, I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event. I grew up not a native of Stark County. However, I'm a citizen and have been by choice of Stark County since 1996. I grew up in a little town called Crystal, Minnesota, which is kind of metro north of Minneapolis right now. I went to school and graduated from high school there. When I was a junior in high school, I decided that I wanted to get out and see the world. And so I enlisted in the United States Air Force and left 13 days after I graduated from high school. I turned down 3 scholarships to college to go because that's kind of was my calling. I retired in 2003 after 22 and a half years. I'm a veteran of Desert Storm and OIF, and I'm very happy to be here. I think my experiences, I would classify myself early on as a citiate because my family did own a farm in southern Minnesota and we had sheep. And let me be honest, I don't like sheep to this day, and I won't eat them either. So, but that didn't want to stay on my dad's hobby farm, as we called it. I am a business owner. I have been a business owner for 3 businesses here in Stark County, 2 of which I sold at a profit, and 1 I am currently the sole proprietor of. I'm a BA accredited claims agent. And my clientele is all over the world, not just Stark County or not just North Dakota. So I'm kind of an entrepreneur. I've been involved in county government in the past, and I would like to just say that I do have the chops to be your next county commissioner, and I've gone to the county commission meetings for the last 5 years, and I hope you look to me for your future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. We now move to the question and answer portion of the forum, with questions sent in by residents of Dickinson. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer the questions. Our first question goes to candidate Messer. Why do you believe you are a better option for voters than the others running for office?
Oh, thank you for the question. I think my broad based background brings me a lot of experience, a lot of vision, and to the commission. I would bring and use that experience to the best of my ability, especially when it comes to financial decisions, budgeting, and promotion of our county. Those are the kinds of things that I feel very strongly about, and I would certainly want to work on. Like I said, I've been in business, in the real estate business. I'm aging myself a little bit here, for 41 years. And that brings a really broad spectrum of info and background from your clients, your customers, and those kind of things, because we are constantly taking issues to the county commission that need approvals, need rarities, excuse me. And I think that's why I'm the best candidate suited for the job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. Same question for Commissioner Kuntz.
You asking me?
Yes, sir. Same question.
Can you repeat that question, please?
I sure can. The question was, why do you believe you are a better option for voters than the others running for office?
Well, I think with my experience, I feel like I'm probably one of the better candidates. And I enjoyed working with the public. I think we've came a long ways already, and we're keep on going. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Kuntz. We move now to candidate Ross. Why do you believe you're a better option for voters than others running for office?
I believe that I am in touch with Stark County. I serve in capacity as a minister. I've been on the Dickinson Public Schools Foundation Board, which I currently am the secretary of. I serve on Southwest Homeless Coalition, the North Dakota Suicide Prevention Council. I'm a board member for RSVP. I'm a committee member for the Don't Whine, Just Run charity. And I've been constantly involved in the county government by being there and being present at every meeting. I believe that we need to work together. It needs to be collaborative in order for us to move forward. And my military leadership, and having been a business owner and currently a business owner as well, those acumens and my education, I have a bachelor's degree in HR and in management. I have a year of MBA at UND and 2 associate's degrees, and I think I'm fairly well-rounded in order to lead us forward.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. Same question for candidate Marsh.
Okay, I think I am also a very rounded candidate. I've got farming background, I've got business background, budgeting. I've worked with people all over the world. I've been on multiple boards. I helped build the fairgrounds. Stark County is my home, and I've always never had a desire to leave Stark County. I've always wanted to see the best for Stark County. My children mostly live here. We're all proud of it. I'm very approachable by the public. I mean, everybody knows where I'm at most of the time, and people are usually not very intimidated to visit with me about what they want, and sometimes they wonder how they can put their thoughts out to what they want to desire. So I really, really believe that I am the person that, one of the people that we should have sitting on the Stark County Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. For our second question, we will begin with Commissioner Kuntz. What is the #1 priority for Stark County over the next 4 years?
Pardon?
What is the #1 priority for Stark County over the next 4 years?
Well, the #1 priority for the next 4 years would be roads safety. That's #1 priority for Stark County. And then maintaining all our buildings, that's another priority. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Koontz. Same question now for candidate Ross.
I don't think you can have just one priority. And in order to look at your priorities, you should be looking at Stark County strategic planning. And in that planning, you'll have the things that we all care about: safety and well-being, quality of place. We need to support our services that we are offering right now. We need to look at economic development. We need to make sure our emergency management is ready to do all hazards. We look at transportation, like Pete says, absolutely. Our roads, we need to make sure that they're efficient and they're safe and that they're well maintained. We need to have collaboration with our citizens, our nonprofits, our businesses, our cities within Stark County. We need to have a voice there. And we also need to understand the operations of Stark County. We need to operate in collaborative culture, have a well-managed budget, a continuous improvement process. We need to evaluate our policies and practices and services and make sure that we find the most efficient and effective ways to operate. We also, Stark County is customer service based. Government services are always customer centric. They need to be accessible and transparent. And we need to leverage our technology in order to be able to better and faster access we need to leverage it to make sure we have better and accessible services to all of our clientele.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. Moving now to candidate Marsh. Same question. What is the #1 priority for Stark County over the next 4 years?
Well, once again, you cannot really have one priority, but the main priority, I would have to agree with Commissioner Kuntz, is our roads keep things moving through our county, and it's a safety issue. As technology in the world keeps getting faster and the world gets smaller, we have to have good transportation, good roads, good safety. We have to continue to expand with our fairgrounds out there. It's new out there. We got to keep it going and keep people's interest in it and keep the quality of life in Stark County and that's probably the main thing, is to keep a good quality of life. As far as the roads go, we have an amazing road superintendent, or whatever his name, Al Heiser, does an amazing job. We're so blessed to have him working for us. And another thing I really, really believe in is transparency in government. And I believe that Stark County really needs to be more transparent in their dealings.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Lastly, same question for candidate Messer.
Well, I feel also that any issue that comes before the commission is important. If it's important enough for someone to take the time and energy to bring it to the commission, I think it's important enough for the commission to take time to listen to it. Having said that, the issues and topics that come up most to me when I'm visiting with people I'll list several of them in those specific orders, but I think property taxes are a huge issue. We have a $28 million budget. Over half of that comes from property tax, and we need to do whatever we can to be good caretakers of public funds and spend those funds wisely. Infrastructure was mentioned. That's a no-brainer. I think the residents of the county expect us to keep our roads and bridges in good repair and safe. It's a safety issue, was mentioned. And it's also an efficiency issue, how chamber or commerce can take place, products can get to market, especially when we're talking about the agricultural commodities that are produced in our county. I also think it's important for us to support law enforcement. People expect to live their lives knowing that their families and their properties are protected. And so therefore, law enforcement would be a high priority to me. And lastly, in the back of my mind is the energy and the ag economy. We need to allow those industries to succeed, to grow, and be successful. And although we don't have a lot of control over energy prices, we certainly can be very proactive in allowing and encouraging those companies to come to Stark County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. Our third question will begin with candidate Ross. How do you plan to attract businesses and increase employment in Stark County?
That's a really good question, and a question that Stark County Development and Job Services and everyone else is trying really hard to answer, and especially with this economic downturn, and we have so many layoffs. That will take a cross-functional collaborative approach to figure out how to reach potential job applicants. But that brings us to another point too. Are we looking to retain our best and our brightest? What are we doing for our county employees at this point in time to keep those that we feel are doing a great job and that, you know, promote our county? But I think one of the biggest things people look for when they're job hunting is they're going to use technology to support that. They're going to look at the Stark County website. They're going to look at job service. We need to position ourselves in a place and promote ourselves in a way that shows that we have a quality environment here with quality people and a really high quality workforce. And in doing so, we need to be out on every single, on Indeed and job service in all the platforms that we can to promote Stark County and talk Stark County. I know that I talk Stark County up all the time when I talk because people don't understand why I live here. And I can only say that I love it here because I love my neighbors. I love the people. So those are where we have to start, but it's going to be cross-functional and it's going to take a lot of people to do it and really hone in on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is candidate Marsh. Same question. How do you plan to attract business and increase employment in Stark County?
That is a very difficult question, especially at a time right now when the economy is just falling out of everything we've got. You know, how do you keep young people here? You know, when they grow up, the first thing they want to do is move to a big area. Technology is a big thing. And I think that, I mean, the farms are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, so there's less employment there. We have to find jobs that attract young people's imagination and stuff. And I'm not sure how we would do that. We've got great people working. Ryan Jillick with Stark County Development, I believe, isn't that what he runs? He does a great job. We have to pull all these people that are with the organizations that work with young people and have the foresight of what is coming new in the world to bring these jobs here. I don't really have an answer on how I would do it. I've been here for 33 years in my business, and my children have not left Dickinson. They've stayed here. And so, I mean, we have a high quality of life and we want to keep that. And that's something that we have to promote if we want people to come here.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. We now move to candidate Messer. Same question.
Yeah, very good question. I've started 3 businesses from scratch, so I've already participated in that kind of venue. But I think the key for the county to do is you have to foster an environment that promotes growth. And the areas I'm talking about are taxation, regulation, and employment opportunities. We need to, when we have an opportunity, as mentioned, with Stark Development to bring those companies in, we need to be able to allow them to grow without a bunch of regulations that would choke down how they have the ability to be successful. So that would be the thing that I would promote, would be a taxation regulation opportunity. I think we have a number of opportunities out there for us in the manufacturing sector, especially now when you talk about some of the negatives in the COVID-19 crisis. I think there's a number of positive opportunities there. And what you're seeing is across the country that there are manufacturing companies or companies that manufacture products that are being discouraged from opening to be able to do business in the states, in the areas they're located in. North Dakota was a lead state in trying to be an open as much as we can. And I think those are the kinds of opportunities we can kind of piggyback on and bring manufacturing and those kind of opportunities to our area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Finally, we move to Commissioner Kuntz. Same question.
The question was, how would you promote?
How would you plan to attract businesses and increase employment in Stark County?
Boy, that's a tough one. Well, in order to attract businesses, you would have to go and if companies come in, and there's a lot of work on the oil patch, but right now that's kind of quiet too out there, but I really don't know how you'd do much promoting there. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Kuntz. Next question goes to candidate Marsh. How would you look to improve efficiency and save taxpayer dollars for the residents of Stark County?
Well, I guess I'm not really sure on the budget of the county. I've not looked into that a whole lot, but I do have to believe there's places that within the county that things could get tightened up, especially with the economy that we have going on here. It's something that I just really would have to take a look at and see exactly how all the different parts of the county work. I mean, I've gone to the last 6 months of meetings of the commission, but to understand their budget and stuff, I haven't got that far into it. So I really just have to do a lot of belt tightening, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you, sir. Same question for candidate Ross.
Well, the first thing I'd have to do is pull out Stark County's strategic plan and their budget. The strategic plan shows your vision and your mission statement for what you want to see in the future of Stark County, in the short term and in the long term. And the strategic plan is how you get there. So if there's no strategic plan, how do you allocate dollars effectively and efficient, bless you.
Thank you.
How do you effectively and efficiently manage tax dollars if you don't know what your objectives are and have you met them? So you'd have to really break it down into how efficient is government by, you can compare line item to line item, but that's not what the strategic plan is all about. It's to show you where you use your resources the best. And I believe there's always opportunity for improvement in a budget. There's always opportunity to tighten your belt, and it should come there. If our community is having to tighten their belt with the economic downturn and layoffs, we need to look within our own budget and our own employees on where we can cut back. We need to look at maybe looking forward and putting in a 10% reduction across the board and see how that shakes out. But really, it's about vision. It's about the strategic plan and putting those dollars where they're best utilized and not because something comes up. Thank you. That's a good question.
Thank you. Next, same question for Mr. Messer. I'll repeat the question again. How would you look to improve efficiency and save taxpayer dollars for the residents of Stark County?
It is a good question. Right now, I believe my position is the county is fairly efficiently run. We have no debt. We have a reserve in cash, and so therefore I believe that we've kind of done that. However, if we get to a situation where we have to make some cuts because the state sharing of the oil production tax or the highway tax funds come in and they're not where we need to be, well, the first thing you do is you bring in your department heads. That's why you have department heads, is they know what's going on within your own department, and you ask them how we can do it. I'm not a firm believer in doing across the board budget cuts, because certain departments are more important than other departments. And so therefore you have to do what's best in the best interest of the county. So that's kind of how I would approach it. I would bring in the department head teams and go from there. The other thing you do is, sometimes you always don't look at the cuts, you look at the opportunities to promote so that you generate more revenue through growing businesses and tax dollars that way as well. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Same question for Commissioner Kuntz. Question was, how would you look to improve efficiency and save taxpayer dollars for the residents of Stark County?
Well, when you do a budget, you've got to be pretty conservative. And so far, I think Stark County has been doing very good. We put up a new addition to the courthouse. We paid for it. Everything is paid for. We are putting up a new social service building, and that will all be paid for when it's finished. And when it comes to budget time, our department heads, they turn in their budget, and then we work from there. And there will have to be some cuts, but I don't know where you cut, because if you start cutting services, you can't hardly do that either, because you got your fire departments, you got your ambulance, you got your sheriff's department. They're all working off these tax dollars. So got to be very, very careful when you do the budget. You got to make sure that you got enough to run efficiently and take care of the services.
Thank you, sir. We'll now move on to our final question. We will begin with candidate Ross. Do you support the decision to have mail-in voting be the only option this election cycle?
Absolutely not. I live in a household with a doctor, and Southwest District Health Unit has put on several different drive-through testings. I went to the one out in Gladstone just to observe, not as a patient or in a car to drive through. I believe that the vote was taken at the county commission meeting, and it was to have the BAC be the place for the one open polling place. And I believe that we could have done that safely. You could do social distancing, and you could bring in Southwest District Health Unit to make sure and look at things to make sure that you can actually have a polling place. That was how the vote was. I'm not quite sure what happened that denied Stark County of a one polling place, because that wasn't the vote. They voted to have mail-in ballots, but they also had a vote for the BAC. So I'm not sure, but no, I don't support that. I believe that this disenfranchises voters, and unless you're technology sound, which a lot of our county members are not, you're not going to know. I've talked to somebody just today who has not gotten even a request to mail in their application. So how many are there that are not going to have an opportunity to vote? So no, I do not support the mail-in only ballot.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ross. Mr. Messer, same question. Do you support the decision to have mail-in voting be the only option this election cycle?
Well, I don't think it's an either or question. It is mail-in only. That's the consequences of what happened, what was transpired. I don't know where the breakdown in communication came between the action items that the county commission took and how the election officer decided to run this. I'm a full-fledged believer in retail politics. I love face-to-face politics. I want to get out and meet people. And I firmly believe and agree that we would have been able to handle the polling place if it went to the back. I mean, if we can go to Walmart, social distance, we should be able to go to a polling place. And I think that, like Leslie mentioned, that we're smart enough that we would be safe and go from there. But it is what it is. My understanding that the application number for the number of ballots in the county is at extremely high level. So that's an encouraging sign. Now we just need the people to return their ballots. And I'm hoping that comes to fruition. So we'll see what happens in November. But I posted on Facebook early on. I was not in favor. I like the retail politics scene and would have been in favor of that. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Commissioner Kuntz. Same question. Do you support the decision to have mail-in voting be the only option this election cycle?
No, excuse me. No, I don't support that. Even this year, if it wouldn't have been for this coronavirus, we could have had polling places open. We had a place reserved But the governor came out with an executive order on the 25th of March, wanting all counties to vote by mail. And there were, out of the 53 counties, 33 of them already went to vote by mail. So that's why we're voting by mail. Hopefully by the general, we'll be ready to put up our voting polls again and we'll go from there. But as far as people not getting applications, they need to call the auditor's office, because I stop at the courthouse every day. And there's always somebody calling this, I get them, and I don't know whose fault it is. But for this year, for this primary, we'll just have to do what needs to be done, and that's it.
Thank you, sir. Same question for Mr. Marsh. Do you support the decision to have mail-in voting be the only option this election cycle?
No, I do not. Century Code says that the county should be putting up a place for people to vote. But if the executive order came from the governor, I don't know if they could have overridden it or not, or whatever. But I really believe that if you go stand in line in Walmart and Menards, and not worry about social distances, you know, one of the main topics when I was out putting up signs and stuff that people would talk to me was the fact that there was no physical place for them to vote, and that it was a major concern and disappointment that they couldn't do that. And they really believe that the county could have set something up. I mean, we can set anything else up, that we sure could have set up something where we could have cleaned up after every person or whatever. I mean, this is voting, and this is what our country was established on, was voting. So unfortunately, this is where we're at, but that was a main concern of the people that I talked to, and I have to agree that there should be a physical voting place.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That concludes the question and answer portion of the County Commission segment of the forum. We now move into the closing statements. It is here that candidates will share a final 2-minute message. We will begin the closing statements with candidate Marsh.
All right. Well, once again, I would like to thank everyone that made this forum possible, especially the residents of Stark County that took the time or will take the time to see this forum. The whole process of campaigning has really been exciting, humbling, and encouraging. And I've really enjoyed taking the signs out to the Stark County homes and businesses. And this gave me the opportunity to see and meet with many of their residents, and enjoyed conversing with them on what their feelings were. And one of the things was, as I had just mentioned, was the voting. And then I also believe in a transparent government. Stark County should be able to watch their meetings live. There's a brand new meeting room, and there's nothing set up for the people to be able to watch live or later on Channel 18. The technology we have today should be available for all meetings of the commission and any other board meetings that the commissioners sit on. I believe I'm very approachable and available to Stark County residents to come and talk to me. I want to be the person that a common resident is not intimidated to express their thoughts or feelings to. I believe that government needs change. A man is a creature of habit. And if someone is in a government position for too long of a period, that government gets stale. I'm that change. I have a unique background. It goes from farming and ranching and budgeting and managing businesses, from sitting on various boards, including international boards, and understanding and communicating the various problems that come before them. It is important to make your vote count. This is for all you people out in Stark County watching. It's important to make your vote count for Stark County. Return your letter from the Secretary of State by May 28th, and when you get your ballot, you make sure you fill it out, especially the spot that says Bernie Marsh, Stark County Commission, District 1. That's the one to mark. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We move now to candidate Messer for his closing remarks.
I too would like to thank again everyone for making this forum happen. I'm sure I probably speak for most of the candidates this evening by saying I would have much rather had been able to do this live and in person, but we do what we have to do. So I hope this was beneficial for you to learn a little bit about me and something about what I stand for as a candidate. I would just like to again tell you why I'm running and what I would bring to the Stark County Commission. I truly want our area to be the best that it can be. I would bring a pro-ag, pro-business philosophy to the commission. Nothing promotes a positive vibe about our area like having a vibrant, broad-based economy. And that is what I will work hard for us to achieve. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to appear in front of many different city and county planning and zoning boards and many different city and county commissions all across Western North Dakota. I've also testified numerous times in front of the North Dakota State Legislature, always trying to advocate for positive change. I feel very strongly, I know the difference between good public policy and government overreach. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as was mentioned, some of you may have already cast your ballot. And if you have, and you have voted for me, thank you very much for your support. If you would not have yet cast your ballot, there's still an opportunity to do it, and there's still time to do it. And I would like an opportunity to earn your vote. Feel free to contact me and voice your concerns on the issues that matter most to you. I look forward to those conversations. And if I am elected as your county commissioner, I make this commitment to you on 3 things. Number 1, I will listen. Number 2, I will lead. And number 3, I will get things done. Visit my Facebook page, Neil Messer for Stark County Commissioner, or email me, nm4starkcounty@gmail.com. Once again, thanks for listening, and please stay safe, stay smart, and God bless. Good evening.
Thank you, sir. Now to Commissioner Kuntz with his closing remarks.
Well, I also would like to thank the chamber for having us. And like the saying goes, I'd sooner do it out in person, but that's the way it is, how we got to do it. And I'd like to be elected again for another term because there's things out there I haven't quite finished yet. And I know I can do them with a matter of time. It'll take time, but we've come a long ways. When I started, my first project was that South High Road, paved that South High Road from the interchange to the county line. By golly, it took me 2 years and we got it accomplished. Another big project we had, we put a lift on Highway 10 from Billings County line all the way to Morgan County line, which is a super highway right now. We put a lift on the Chandler Highway, going from Gladstone all the way to Region. We've done a lot of projects, and there's projects out there that need to be done. And I'm willing to do them. And we replace bridges every year, probably 4 or 5, taking out these smaller bridges, putting in box culverts, heavier traffic all the time, more traffic. You can see a single axle truck go down the road anymore now. They're all 18-wheelers, so everything's got to be big. So I sure appreciate your vote for the. And when you go down the ballot and you get down to Pete Kuntz, just put an X in the little box. Thank you. And have a nice Memorial. Everybody have a nice Memorial weekend. Be safe. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Finally, we turn to candidate Ross for her final statement.
Again, I can only echo what the previous candidates have said about thanking you and our community for tuning in tonight. Voting is one of the most precious gifts that we've been given. And I have served selflessly for 22.5 years to promote your right to vote. And so it's very important to get out there and do that and exercise your rights. I've had a lifetime of selfless service, not only for my country, but for my state and for Southwest North Dakota. And I've mentioned the committees and boards that I sit on already. And I don't do this for any sort of monetary gain or to promote any business. I do it for the gratitude that I can join something that's bigger than myself. And I believe truly in good governance. But good governance requires an inordinate amount of responsibility. You have to be able and willing to listen. You have to be able to allow people who would advocate for something completely opposite of you at the top of your voice and be able to come to consensus. You have to allow that participation. You have to follow the rules of law to do it. You must be transparent. And I agree with Bernie. I don't understand a $6.5 million addition without an opportunity to have actual makes that work and an opportunity for the community to be involved in their government processes. It needs to be responsive. We need to serve all our stakeholders and do it in a reasonable time. It needs to be equitable and inclusive, efficient and effective. But accountability is the key. And we need to make sure that there's accountability throughout all the processes. And I do. Remember, this is Memorial Weekend. Remember the reason for your 3 days off. People died for your right to vote. Don't ignore them, and don't not vote. Please vote. God bless you and have a safe Memorial Weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the County Commission segment of the 2020 Candidate Forum, and we would like to thank the candidates for their time this evening. As we transition the County Commission candidates off screen and bring in Dickinson Mayor Scott Decker, we would like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that voting is a fundamental right of any citizen, and that right enables each of you to choose the leaders of tomorrow. For more information about the June 9th election, how to vote, or to see a full list of candidates, visit vote.nd.gov. Again, that URL is vote.nd.gov. And we would now like to welcome Dickinson Mayor Scott Decker. Candidate Leroy Hendrickson was unable to join us this evening. This portion of the forum will proceed much like the first. Mayor Decker will provide a 2-minute opening statement, and then we'll move into the question and answer segment, followed by his closing remarks. As a reminder to the mayor, if you see a yellow card, that means you have 30 seconds remaining to answer the question. And a red card means that your time has expired. Mayor Decker, the floor is yours for opening remarks. I believe the mayor is on mute.
Myself. I guess I can do it myself, right?
There we go. Thank you, sir.
I'll do it myself. All right. Well, thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum, and thank you, Ms. Henson, for being our moderator. I really appreciate the opportunity to be in front of the citizens of Dickinson. And for those of you that do not know me, my name is Scott Decker. I was born and raised in Dickinson. I'm a graduate of Trinity Catholic High School and Dickinson State University. I served for 21 years in the United States Army and the North Dakota Army National Guard on a full-time basis. For my last 10 years on active duty, I ran the Southwest Army National Guard recruiting station, and I did that from July 2000 to 2010. Upon retirement, I went to work in the oil field, the Bakken oil field, where I first worked as a right-of-way agent for Diamond Resources, and then later as a safety trainer for an oil field company. I am currently, when I have some free time, the compliance and safety officer for ND Pharmacy Incorporated. I was first elected to the Dickinson City Commission in 2014, and I was recently elected, recently being 2016, as the president of the city commission, the mayor for the city of Dickinson. I'm married to my wife, Shelly, for over 30 years, and we have 2 children, Jake, who's a pharmacist and lives in Grand Junction, Colorado, and our daughter, Elena, who is a senior firefighter for the city of Dickinson. I feel it's important that as the mayor and the president of the Dickinson City Commission, we provide the public with a transparent and responsive local government. I am very involved in every aspect of the community, and I believe your local leaders should be engaged with all stakeholders. I feel it is important as a leader of Dickinson that you show up and advocate for its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Your first question is, why do you believe you are a better option for voters than your opposition?
Well, I've lived almost my entire life in Dickinson, besides the 9 years I was on active duty in the Army and stationed down at Fort Benning, Georgia, and was in Desert Storm and then stationed over in South Korea. Moved back here in 1998. have made this our home, and we love this community. Both my wife and well, our daughter who stayed here, we love this community. I feel that I'm the best candidate because I represent the people, the very people that work hard every day, come in ready to make an honest living, and they just want to be treated fairly. And I know that what I've done over the last 4 years as the president of the city commission, the mayor, advocating for Dickinson, that I am by far the best candidate. I have no hidden agendas. I have no personal interest. I serve the people of Dickinson. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, what is your vision for the downtown square?
Well, my vision for the downtown square is an area that people can come and meet and have a nice area on a daily basis to just be outdoors and possibly even hold some of their events, such as a wedding or anniversary gathering, birthday parties. That the downtown square can be a gathering place at night for bigger events like our First on First. I think that is an amazing event that happens. It brings a lot of the public together, and it just lets people be engaged with each other. And in our community, where we have so many new faces come, they can go to an area like this and meet other people and meet, say, individuals of their same age group, or just say they're bringing their dogs there or something. They can use that area as a place to, make new friends, make new connections. And I want it to be a place that we can show off as another quality of life feature for this, the citizens of Dickinson, and use it as a recruiting tool.
Thank you. Our third question digs into your process as an elected city official. How do you determine and evaluate whether proposed projects are worth implementing?
Well, a lot of the proposed projects that are brought before us, some of them are on the state level, some are even federal level, and we run this by different committees. We always form committees with the individuals that have the most knowledge within our city. And these individuals might come from our engineering department, they might come from planning and zoning, they might come from our law enforcement, our public safety, our firefighters, our public works. We get that committee together, and then we always include, a couple of commissioners, so that they have firsthand knowledge of what's going on. And it's not exclusively just myself or the vice president being involved. We try to involve all the commissioners if they have time. And then we go through the process of evaluating if this is a project that is worthy for the city of Dickinson to get behind.
Thank you, sir. Moving along, what is your plan for addressing the loss of revenue caused by the increase in unemployment and loss of revenue from the oil industry?
Well, right now, the deputy city administrator, who will now be our acting city administrator, is also in charge of our finance department. She is doing a reforecast of our sales tax and also of other revenue that comes into the city. We will get that reforecast in June, and then we will take the appropriate actions to continue throughout this fiscal year with that reforecast. Now, going forward, we're going to have to look at many different factors. We sat in this morning on a teleconference, Zoom meeting, much like this, with the Western Dakota Energy Association, and we listened to their forecasts of oil and their GPT and what we might have coming forward this fall, and what their expectations are. We can use that knowledge, and that's why it's important to go out and be involved with all these other groups. Vision West North Dakota, Western Dakota Energy Association, be in contact with the governor, be in contact with our local legislators to gather this information that we can use then to reforecast and project for our budget next year.
Thank you, sir. Our fifth and final question is one that speaks to the principles of limited government. and a limited government, what do you think the role of mayor should be?
Well, I feel that a lot of people with the limited government aspect, I think a lot of people in the city of Dickinson feel that the mayor has these unending powers. And we operate in a commission form of government. And my powers are very limited. Even during the COVID emergency here, I had residents of the city of Dickinson calling me saying that you need to make an emergency declaration. You need to do this. You need to do that. That is not within the power of the president of the city commission of Dickinson or the mayor of Dickinson. We operate as a commission, and what we do is we govern from the aspect is we create policy. And that policy, our job is to make sure that it has proper implementation. And also our primary duty is, as a commission, is to enhance the prosperity and the viability and the visibility of this city. We are charged with the responsibility of being the watchdog for all citizens. That's why they elect us. We create policy, we go forward, city staff implements that policy. After that, what we have to do is make sure that we are checking on them so that for the proper implementation of that policy. So as we sit as a commission, we are very limited in our powers, but we also have to craft the correct policy that we can use what power we have to make the city a great place to live.
Thank you, sir. It seems we actually have a little bit of extra time, so we'd like to go ahead and ask you another question.
Sure, shoot.
What are your thoughts about the overcrowding issues at Dickinson High School and 2 failed bond referendum attempts made by the school district? And how can the issues at DHS be addressed?
Well, ultimately, my feeling is we need a new high school. And I have advocated not only locally, but on the state level that we need a new high school. I think that the Dickinson Public Schools District has come up with a very adequate, more than adequate plan to deal with the overcrowding as they know it right now. This is just a short-term fix. Ultimately, we need a new high school. My feelings on that is because of the rapid growth out here, which came from oil, and many of these residents are staying. There are no jobs for them to flee Dickinson and go elsewhere across the oil field sector. So a lot of these people are going to stay here hoping that oil rebounds. We're still going to have overcrowding issues. So we need a new high school. We need probably multiple elementary schools. At one point, we have to advocate very vigorously to the state that they need to step up and pay for these schools, at least a portion of them. I have advocated that the state should pay for our new high school 70% of it, and we as a local entity will pick up 30%. It's upon us then to pass a bond to pick up the other 30%. I think every school in the West should be funded by oil money. The oil money, all the money that the state is sitting on in the legacy fund and and their other funds comes from one source and one source only. It comes from oil. And we feel the biggest impact. And we should get a fair share, if not more than a fair share, of that oil money back here to meet our needs.
Thank you, sir. Next question. What was the hardest decision you've had to make as mayor?
Hardest decision I have had to make as mayor. Well, as you know, sometimes you just you're not on the same page with people, and we've had to let some city employees go, and because the mission needs to be what is the best for the city of Dickinson. And that is the hardest for anybody that's in a leadership role, is when you have to part ways with a valued employee just because their vision is not the same as your vision, as the commission's vision, as the city of Dickinson's vision. And that is the toughest thing, because it impacts more than just you. It impacts their lives and impacts other people's lives. And that is possibly the toughest thing in the 4 years that I've been on here, is when you have to part ways with an employee.
Thank you. Next question. If the city were to receive an unrestricted grant of $1 million, what would you use it for?
Wow, that's interesting. Well, I can tell you this, just since I would use the money to remodel our Dickinson Museum and our Yoakum Historical Museum, our Pioneer Equipment Museum, and the Prairie Output Park. And I would like to incorporate it. I would use that money to incorporate also building a better facility for our senior citizens. Right now, they have an adequate facility at the Sunset Senior Center down there. I visit them every once in a while. I played pinochle with some of the residents there. I think it's an adequate facility, but I think a facility that would incorporate our museum centers, our Pioneer Park, our Pioneer Equipment, and the Yoakum Historical Museum with a senior center where they could come and interact on a daily basis. They were the very people that they lived this. They used that equipment. They lived in those buildings. And what a great thing for them to be able to interact with young children and tell them exactly what they went through, if this was all incorporated into one, facility, and plus providing them with, an updated kitchens and stuff. They could maybe even put on some classes on some of their old cooking and canning and baking techniques that I think a lot of us grew up enjoying in this area, and it's kind of fallen by the wayside. I know I've had people reach out to me in the past saying, hey, why don't we get some people to put on classes on how to make some of these old ethnic dishes? And I think that would be a great idea, to incorporate our senior citizens. I know they're very, very energetic, and they love to be involved in the community. I know a lot of them are involved in the RSVP, and I think it would just be great for them to be able to extend that knowledge they have of a lot of other things from our very rich past. I think it would be something great. That's what I would do with the money.
Thank you. And our last question, and then we'll move into your closing remarks. Do you support the decision to have mail-in voting be the only option this election cycle?
It's very simple. I do not. I think people have a right to go to the polls and vote. Everybody knows the risk. The opportunity to get your mail-in ballot would still be there. They could do it if they felt that they would be at risk because of their health situation or whatever. But we need to have the ballot boxes open. This is a free country, and we need to vote. I'm disappointed that ultimately that was the decision that was made, but we live in uncertain times right now. I just wish they would have gave the option that if you wanted to show up and you wanted to vote, that's your option.
Thank you, sir. We will now move into the closing remarks. You have 2 minutes.
Well, once again, I'd like to thank the chamber. I'd like to thank Ms. Henson for moderating. These forums are very enlightening to our citizens, to see what they're going to have as a representative government. I want to continue to serve as Dickinson as your mayor and bring our message that we are the best place, if not, one of the best places, the best place in America to live. Representing Dickinson has been an incredible experience. I listen closely to all of our citizens' concerns and always try to get them an answer. You can ask any city staff that I try to get to the bottom of any concerns that a citizen has. I live in Dickinson and I serve no special interests. I have no agenda. I will continue to work hard every day for all of our citizens and provide them with an honest and efficient local government. And one of the most important things is being your representative, being the mayor, being the president of the city commission, that you show up. And that is important.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the mayoral segment of the 2020 Candidate Forum, and we would like to thank Mayor Decker for his time this evening. As we transition the mayor off screen and bring in our candidates for governor, we would like to take this opportunity to once again remind viewers that your right to vote enables each of you to choose the leaders of tomorrow. For more information about the June 9th election, how to vote, or to see a full list of candidates, visit vote.nd.gov. Again, that URL is vote.nd.gov. Okay. We would now like to welcome the participating candidates for governor. Our final portion of today's forum will proceed in the same order as the first two. Beginning with each candidate providing a 2-minute opening statement, we'll move into the question and answer segment. We'll conclude the segment with each candidate providing a final closing statement before we sign off for the evening. As was the case in the previous segments, the order we'll begin with this evening was randomly selected prior to the forum and has been agreed upon by all candidates. A reminder to our candidates: if you see a yellow card, that means you have 30 seconds remaining to answer the question. A red card means that your time has expired. We will begin with opening statements by candidate Dr. Shelley Lenz. Dr. Lenz? Dr. Lenz, you're on mute. There we go.
Got me. Okay, I thought you were in control. So, thank you to the Dickinson Chamber for inviting me here, and thank you everyone who is participating and asking questions. I'm Dr. Shelley Lenz. I'm a veterinarian, a scientist, a successful small business owner, and the founder of an international program that focuses on financial independence, resilience in agriculture, and improving people's lives within their communities. I live in Western North Dakota on land that my great-grandparents homesteaded in Killdeer. I am the great-granddaughter of an original non-partisan leaguer and the endorsed Dem NPL candidate for governor. In the tradition of the NPL, it's time to vote for people who share the understanding of both the joys and the challenges of the daily life of my fellow North Dakotans to better represent us in the governor's office. My lieutenant governor is Ben Vig, a 5th-generation farmer in Eastern North Dakota. We are confident that a veterinarian with a small business and a farmer as your governor and lieutenant governor will provide better representation of North Dakotans than we have had in a long time. Our vision of homegrown prosperity will ensure the resilience of our traditional industries of agriculture, energy, and tourism. We will advocate for new opportunities to create jobs and new revenue. We will ensure accessible and affordable health care, and we will champion high-quality education at all levels, including pre-K through 12, vocational, and higher ed. We are running to lift the voice of North Dakotans to make government work for all of us. Unlike the incumbent governor, my lieutenant governor and I have a practical vision for the future of North Dakota that will keep North Dakota independent, resilient, and prosperous for all, for generations to come. Again, I'm Dr. Shelley Lenz, candidate for governor.
Thank you, Doctor. We now move to opening statements by candidate Mr. Michael Coachman.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hi, my name is Mike Coachman. I am running for the office of governor. And I want to thank everybody for this opportunity to talk and share my heart to find out why we're running. I'm running because in 1977, I raised my right hand and swore an oath to defend this nation against foreign and domestic enemies. And I keep that vow in my heart even today. As a candidate running for governor, I want to protect the people in a way that it's not what's going on now. You have individuals who are not upholding the most sacred book that we have, and that's this, the Constitution. Without the Constitution, we will not have a state. We won't have the proper life. We need to follow the Constitution. Individuals who don't follow this will enslave you. Me and my Lieutenant Governor, Joel Hilden, we want to serve the people. We know that we can sit down with the president and talk to him about bringing jobs here in North Dakota. I heard from the mayor and other city council people who are wondering how you can help your city. I'm on a city council in Larimore. One of the hardest things that we can do is trying to figure out where we can get money to fix the infrastructure, and nothing changed. In other words, we got the same amount of money coming in. We need to bring money, new revenues in, give people jobs. I believe me and my Lieutenant Governor, we can do that. We can sit down with the president. We can enforce the Constitution because rights are being taken away. This is not about being a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. This is about freedom. I'm here to maintain your freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our first question will go to you. Why do you believe that you are a better option for voters than the current governor or the other candidate here tonight?
Because of this book again, the Constitution. Also, this is another book, the resolutions, what I believe and stand on in principle. Without the Constitution, we will have no freedom. We will not have the way of life that it should be. Without the Constitution, we're going to wind up being enslaved. You can see it, what's going on in Monat, force coronavirus indoctrination. If you don't, you get $1,500 fine, 30 days in jail, and a misdemeanor. That violates our rights. How much time do I have?
Oh, how much time do we have left? 25 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Also, the right to your freedom, the Second Amendment. No one's going to defend the Second Amendment as much as me. Without the Second Amendment, you're not going to have a first, you're not going to have a third, you're not going to have a fourth or fifth. So it's very important that you're going to have somebody that's going to follow the Constitution, not lay it aside and use it for their benefit or not use it at all. The people of North Dakota need someone who's going to stand on the Constitution, because with that, their rights are protected.
All right. Thank you, sir. Same question for you, Dr. Lenz. Why do you believe that you are a better option for voters than the current governor or the other candidate here tonight?
Well, I agree. I really believe this isn't a time for partisan politics. Right now, we have a governor who was not the choice of the Republican Party, who bought his way into the governor's office, and I voted for him, for a businessman, not for politics. But I felt betrayed by him. And he has put politics over the people of North Dakota. While the current governor is investing in beating Republicans in state legislature races, I'm investing in building connections across the state of North Dakota, Republicans, Democrats, NPLers, and independents. I'm running under the banner of the Dem NPL because I believe that gets back to the heart of how North Dakotans view government. This campaign isn't about ideology, it's about our community. With a veterinarian and a farmer representing you, we have a deep scope of understanding of our economies, our challenges, our joys, at a level that a billionaire tech does not have. So our vision of homegrown prosperity just doesn't move taxes around. We actually create new revenue and new resilience for North Dakota in the NPL way.
All right, thank you. We will stay where we are for our next question. Dr. Lenz, Governor Burgum implemented his Main Street initiative. What initiative would you seek to implement, or how would you grow and develop the Main Street initiative if elected?
That's a good question. So here's my agenda. Main Street has a different meaning in Fargo versus Killdeer versus Dodge versus Dickinson. We actually have country roads, highways that all need to be part of our livelihood. My agenda is homegrown prosperity, thriving communities, and government that works for all of us. What I mean by this is homegrown prosperity. How does North Dakota lead the transition of agriculture and energy into the future? My opponents have been talking about economic diversification for 15 years or more, but people like me aren't seeing it. We need to make sure we're prioritizing economic diversity and shared prosperity. An example would be a private-public partnership investing in regional mid-sized animal processing facility, which would create new markets, provide food security, promote family farms, stabilize our livestock economy, and provide farm-to-table food sources. Thriving communities, it's focusing on high-quality education, access to healthcare, and worker protections. An efficient government that works. It's time to get back to a time where people believe in their government and the elected leaders who represent them. This is the NPL way.
Thank you, Doctor. Same question for you, Mr. Coachman. What initiative would you seek to implement, or how would you grow and develop the Main Street initiative if elected?
I would go to, and I have made this statement a bunch of times, that I would go to the small towns, from 50 to 100 to 200 to 1,000. I would try to breathe life in those towns. I would not wait for the mayors or the council individuals or the county commissions to come to me. I would go down to just town level and talk with them. What do you need? What can we do to help with your infrastructure? Would you fix the infrastructure in all these little towns? Then you can start bringing in businesses. So businesses can't come to these little towns if there's no proper infrastructure. We're right now in the town of Larimore. We're trying to fight and get a couple $1,000s to fix our streets and sewers. And it's fighting between a couple other towns of same size. We need all our little towns fixed. We need all of them, so all of them can survive. That when we do go to DC and talk with the president and say, look, we have these towns, what businesses can we bring? And then we bring them and sit in front of the mayors and say, which ones do you want? What is going to meet the needs of your town and your community? Because it can't be just in Fargo or Grand Forks. It's the whole state you have to work with.
Thank you, Mr. Coachman. Our third question, we will start with you as well. Where do you stand on the Second Amendment, and do you support the attempted passage of the red flag law?
You want me to go get my guns or what? I believe totally in the Second Amendment. That is to me, the most important amendment of them all. Why? If you disarm the people, you can't defend the other ones. I believe that the ATF and all these other acronyms should have no authority in North Dakota as far as what type of weapons you should have or how many you're limited to. I made my announcement for running for governor at a red flag rally. Anybody who even thinks about signing a red flag bill shouldn't be in office. It's our constitutional right to own and bear weapons.
Thank you, sir. Same question for you, Dr. Lenz. Where do you stand on the Second Amendment, and did you support the attempted passage of the red flag law?
I want to be clear. I do not want to take away anyone's guns. What I am passionate about is gun safety and education. I'm a hunter and an NRA member, and I believe we should be promoting great gun safety training and programs we already have in place to make sure gun safety is a priority in North Dakota. Our gun culture is something to be appreciated. We have some of the best gun mentors, hunting mentors that I've ever experienced. With respect to the red flag law, we have to remember that we need to keep our people safe and going through legal measures to make sure that the guns are not in the wrong hands of somebody that might be a danger to society. That is something that we need to make sure that is handled legally and appropriately without stepping on people's Second Amendment rights.
Thank you, Doctor. Our next question, we'll start with you. In your opinion, what are the issues facing North Dakota veterans, and how will your administration address these issues?
Well, it's what I feel is facing them is similar to what's facing some of our other North Dakotans that are not thriving or not having access to health care. And what you basically do, whether it's the veterans or the Native Americans or the small town Dodge or big city Fargo, is you invest in people and infrastructure and make sure all people have access to healthcare, education, and they're safely able to get from one place to another on roads that work. I think that's really important with our veterans, that they also have access to telehealth, especially when it comes with mental illness or concerns about that. And so I would advocate for telemedicine availability in every single person's home, veteran or 21-year-old, and make sure that they have access to that in our small communities as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lenz. Same question for you, Mr. Coachman. In your opinion, what are the issues facing North Dakota veterans, and how will your administration address these issues?
Well, being a veteran myself and talk with a lot of veterans is really quite simple. A lot of times, the greatest resource we have are people. So what I would do is have a program with veterans to minister to other veterans or first responders. It's just like most people, you have doctors, they really don't understand the camaraderie that most veterans have. They have a different type of brotherhood that most people don't understand. I would use veterans to minister to other veterans, talk with them. The second part of that, what I would do is using their spouses to minister to their spouses. One of the things I have found out with people with post-stress disorder, especially the one veteran, the spouse sometimes feel like it's her fault. It was her, when it really isn't. So you need another spouse to minister to, and the spouse say, no, it's not you. It's something that he's going through or she's going through. And by working together, you can help meet the needs of each one. By to utilize them they have a lot of talent. They have years of military experience, but they can relate and talk to somebody. You could talk to a military person who's in different branches, but you can say, hey, were you ever stationed in Germany? Yeah, and that's the bond. They have a bond that is unique, and I would like to utilize veterans to helping veterans.
Thank you, sir. For our next question, we will begin with you. Do you believe that North Dakota has a diverse enough economy? And if not, how would you seek to develop new sources of revenue if elected?
Oh, we definitely don't have enough diversity. Just like they're in oil fields, when it shut down, it affected the whole west side of the state. I would bring in different companies, again, sitting down with the president, because the president has been saying over the last couple of years that companies, you need to get out of China, you need to get out of these other countries, but they need, when they leave, where they're going to go. See, and just like I was just reading in the paper the other day with the coal companies having issues about staying afloat, they may close. Why? Well, they said because Minnesota, they don't like their energy because it's not pure enough or clean enough. Well, we can bring pharmaceutical companies, these high energy companies, keep them here, bring the jobs back. You have different type companies that those electric company can power. We don't need to sell it. We're in a perfect location of doing all different types of manufacturings and for the nation right here in North Dakota. We just need to bring it in. That's why I'm talking about the infrastructure, because then if your infrastructure is fixed, you can bring these companies in, everybody prospers.
Thank you, Mr. Coachman. Dr. Lenz, same question for you. Do you believe that North Dakota has a diverse enough economy? And if not, how would you seek to develop new sources of revenue if elected?
That is the majority of my platform. No, we do not have a diversified economy. And no, we don't have a resilient economy. Our major industries are always affected by outside forces, whether they're man-made with a trade war or oil price war, or natural, whether it's a virus, flood, or drought. So no, and it's not about moving taxes around, it's about creating prosperity, creating wealth, creating jobs. That's what homegrown prosperity is. And I gave you the example of investing in a regional animal processing facility. Another example, especially with what's going on in the next door town, Beulah, with the coal mine closing, that's gonna get our hospital to close. We would consider something as like a carbon capture public-private investment, where we would use legacy funds or the Bank of North Dakota to invest in the infrastructure of carbon capture and the pipelines that connect that carbon capture with the oil industry, bringing CO2 out to the oil industry so we can get more extraction, creating jobs, having clean energy, helping our atmosphere and our higher ed, and preserving jobs, creating them too. And we would lead the union in our forward-thinking energy and agricultural platform. That's homegrown prosperity.
Thank you, Dr. Lenz. For our final question, we will begin with you. The two of you are running to replace a sitting governor who has had to respond to two things that are particularly significant to the Dickinson area: COVID-19 and the sudden downturn in oil prices that has directly impacted our community. What would you have done differently?
Is it my turn first?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So my priority would be to put North Dakotans first. And I would have done three things differently with response to COVID. First of all, surround myself with experts, be proactive in my decisions, understanding the impact it would have on North Dakota's people and economy, and be very clear and transparent that my decisions were science-based and not politically motivated, and would get us out of this state of emergency as soon as possible so our legislators were able to do their jobs, or call an emergency legislature session to deal with the financial problems we're going to be having, the budget. And I'm not just being a Monday morning quarterback. As a small business person, I had to make a very difficult decision, and this would have significantly impacted my bottom line. But to protect my staff and my community and save human medical supplies should our rural hospitals need them, on March 25th, I closed my vet clinic and sent staff home with full pay to quarantine at home. Not only was it proactive and decisive, it was the right thing to do. With respect to the oil collapse, that's the homegrown prosperity. It's time now to invest in carbon capture so we can make extraction more efficient and more profitable for our oil companies, to make our coal companies exist longer so that the whole town doesn't just go away, while cleaning up the atmosphere and connecting our homes with that flared gas that's just being wasted. We can do that.
Thank you, Dr. Lenz. Mr. Coachman, same question for you. The two of you are running to replace a sitting governor who has had to respond to two things particularly significant to the Dickinson area: COVID-19 and the sudden downturn in oil prices that has directly impacted our community. What would you have done differently?
Well, I would have never have shut the state down in the business. If you listen to what the president was saying repeatedly, that they had a cure, that malaria drug and zinc, where they had a quick turnaround. With that, if you stayed in tune with them, we really didn't need to shut the state down. There was no signs there. I mean, you had a couple of people with the virus, but it wasn't enough to shut down small businesses, but you still let the big businesses open. I mean, that was a breeding ground. You couldn't go to church, but you could go to Walmart. You couldn't go to school, but you could go to Lowe's or to Menards. There was too many things, and who suffered most is the small business people. So me, myself, I would never have shut the state down. Second thing, and it's not armchair quarterback and myself, it's just looking at the facts. When you're in the military, you look at, okay, this is the problem, what's going on, how do you address it? I would have just left it open, still would have took the necessary safety, hospital, get the machines, get the drugs on the side. That's it. Until it gets to a critical point, you're shutting something down. As far as the oil industry, that is not the major thing. It's your voting. That's what you're losing. Your opportunity to vote. It was mentioned with the mayor. It's your opportunity to vote. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
That
you.
concludes the question and answer portion of the gubernatorial segment of the forum. We now move into closing statements. It is here that candidates will share a final 2-minute message. We'll begin with you, candidate Coachman.
Thank you. Again, I was stating before, the most important thing right now, I contacted the governor's office a couple of weeks ago. And I said, hey, look, we can still move the voting from the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, make it 3 days. You can have A through F on Monday and continue on through the rest of the week. You can provide masks, you provide pencils, clean up after them. We should have voting. And I'm glad that you mentioned that to the other individuals about the importance of a voting booth. We still can. There's nothing stopping. President Trump mentioned last week with the governor there that in California that they set up a booth 3 days before the final election. They did it. We can still do it too. There's nothing wrong with stretching it out a little bit longer to get everybody can have a ballot to vote, because we know there's too many irregularities. People are getting 2 or 3 ballots to the House with people who are gone or are passed away. There's too many problems. And the president keeps saying, do not do mail-in ballots. But we're still going to do it. Makes you wonder why. As far as last week, we talked about how that the executive order that he put out that to do mail-in ballots, he rescinded last Friday. Now you can have voting booths. So my question is, was it constitutional in the first place to send that executive order? Okay. And where's he getting his information from? Who are the people around him? There's another question. Then another question is, what executive orders or laws or bills had he passed that were not constitutional? He got caught on this. But what about the things he didn't get caught on? You need to do your research. We need to stand up and say, we want a voting booth. We want to vote. If that means scratch all the mail-in ballots, we still need to vote to be honest and fair elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coachman. Dr. Lenz, your closing remarks.
Now is not the time for partisan politics. Now is the time to bring people together to solve problems. In 2016, probably like many of you, I actually voted for Doug Burgum. Based on his track record for the past 4 years, I felt betrayed by him. So not only did he lose my vote, I'm running to replace him as governor. I'm running because I believe that rather than a billionaire with his own agenda, it's time for our governor and lieutenant governor to be actually in touch with the experience of all North Dakotans and our economies. As a veterinarian and a farmer, Ben and I share the same pride in our state and our communities that you do, as well as the same concerns and troubles that North Dakotan families talk about at my clinic, at the neighborhood bar, at the feed store, and at the kitchen table. My commitment is to the people of North Dakota. We will prioritize homegrown prosperity, thriving communities, and efficient government that works for all of us. We are in tough times, but we've been here before. And just like my great-grandparents and grandpa and the emergence of the NPL, together we got through it. Now, North Dakota, with our resources, has the opportunity to lead the nation in advancing in agriculture and energy industries and make it clear that North Dakota cannot be bought or sold. What is clear is we need elected leaders who are focused on creating shared prosperity. We need to create resilient economies that get back to the tradition of defending North Dakota from outside forces, to proactively build infrastructure and economies that are resilient against man-made or natural forces affecting our industries and our communities. We need to elect independent leaders who will put North Dakota first and who will unite all North Dakotans so we can work together. The voices of rural people haven't been heard in far too long. As a veterinarian and a small business owner in Western North Dakota and a family farmer in Eastern North Dakota, Ben and I bring a perspective and needed voice to Bismarck. I'm Dr. Shelley Lenz. I hope to earn your vote. Please visit my website at lens-vig4nd.com to learn more or to contact the campaign. Thanks again for attending, and thanks to the Dickinson Chamber for arranging this for our community.
Thank you, Dr. Lenz. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2020 Candidate Forum. We thank the candidates for their time this evening and want to remind everyone that the press does not endorse any candidate for office, and follow-up questions should be forwarded to the respective candidates. On behalf of the Dickinson Press, I extend my thanks for your support and attendance, and now turn the floor over to the Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce. Christina?
Thank you again, Kayla Henson from the Dickinson Press. We are thankful you were able to join us this night for this virtual candidate forum as our moderator. We appreciate you being a part of this. And again, we will appreciate all of our candidates for joining us here. If any of you have additional questions that you would like to ask of the candidates in this election cycle, we encourage you to connect with them directly. Again, as Kayla mentioned a few times, if you have more questions or information needed as to how to vote this election cycle, go to vote.nd.org, or sorry, .gov, vote.nd.gov. Again, thank you to Consolidated for sharing the stream of this event. Thank you to the City of Dickinson for also sharing a recording of this event, and to Western Cooperative Credit Union as our sponsor tonight. This Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce virtual forum has come to an end. We hope you have all enjoyed tuning in, and we hope you take care and have a great evening. Thank you again.